Balsamiq is an online, collaborative wireframing application. It replaces pen and paper sketches with virtual doodles that can be shared with the team for design or sent out to clients for feedback. Today, I'll show you a few of the things that you can do in Balsamiq to help create collaborative wireframes that help ensure a smooth design process. But before we start exploring a Balsamiq, let's define wireframing and explain why it is such a crucial step in the design process. Wireframing is a rough draft of sorts. It's a graphic that illustrates the layout of a web page using different symbols to represent content, functional and navigational elements, and show placement of these things on a page. It's sort of like a blueprint for a house, where it shows the walls, the plumbing, and the electrical schematics without getting into the interior design. We use it to show the basis of the look and feel of the page as a whole. It focuses on the hierarchical importance and location without the distracting design elements. If you were designing a house, you wouldn't want to think of interior design at the same time you think about the plumbing schematics. Websites are the same way. Agreeing on the structure and organization of your digital product before moving into the actual design helps save time and money if you do it right the first time. Now that we know what wireframing is and why we need it, let's see how Balsamiq will help us get it done. When you open Balsamiq, you'll see your collection of projects. I'm going to click here on my Balsamiq example to open this project. Once we're in the project, you'll see that it looks similar to a PowerPoint software, where you have your main canvas here in the center, tools across the top, and your wireframes like slides to the left. In this example, I have a sitemap and two wireframes to look at as examples before I walk you through how to create your own. The first is the sitemap. You'll see that it breaks down the organization of how a website or an application might function. To edit the information, you're going to double-click the graphic, and it will present the content in an outline form. So if, for example, if I wanted this to be about our staff, and instead of product 1 and product 2, maybe I have the first and second biographies, I could make those changes here and simply click out of the wireframe. You'll see that those adjustments have been made. The content has been changed within our sitemap. The next example is a wireframe of an actual website. It would be in a browser. Notice that there's no design elements here. We have a navigation bar with search capabilities, a calendar and map widgets, an embedded video, and some text across the bottom. This allows me to show the design and the structure of the website without actually having to curate any content, create widgets, or choose and embed an actual video. This is just the backbone or the blueprint. Similarly, if you look at our next wireframe, I've created the mobile versions of what looks like a music playing application. Again, no design elements, just symbols that show we have a help button, some amount of text, an album flow, scroll bar, and the play, reverse, and forward. That shows on two different kinds of smartphones. Now that we've seen a couple of examples, let's look at how to create these wireframes. To create a new wireframe, you're going to come to the plus button at the top left-hand side of your screen. That will give you a new wireframe slide in your project. You can see it inserted here at the bottom. Before we begin creating, let's explore some of the options for things that you can use within your wireframe. Across the top, you'll see you have a list of categories that contain elements you can use within your wireframes. Containers is a good place to start. The containers show you the different outlines or platforms that you can create your wireframe within. You have a browser window, a couple of mobile phone options, just a shape, and you have another version of a window. So you can create a website, an application, or some kind of a software application within a window on a computer. You've got some tab options as well. In the other categories, you'll see you have Android exclusive elements, things that would show up in an Android device. Some of the unique things like the slider, the progress bar, and a search bar. Next to that, you have a tab that says Assets. Assets are a premium. They would cost extra to see, so we'll skip over to Big. The Big category shows us some of the larger elements you can insert. There you see the sitemap, the cover flow, an image symbol, charts, graphs, those kinds of things. You can scroll over to see the map, some more tab bars, the title, maybe a toolbar, video player, webcam, those kinds of elements. Next to Big, the tab is Buttons. Shows you all the different kinds of buttons you can insert into your wireframe. Same idea, you can scroll across to see the range of buttons available. Common is a nice tab. It's a collection of the most commonly used elements. So it's a variety of things from all the other categories, but it's brought together based on their frequency of use. You can see that you have scroll bars, shapes, text, images, those kinds of things in this category. Containers we started with, so we'll go over to forms. Forms are typically things that are fillable. You've got your checkboxes, a date chooser, those kinds of things. You have a help button, icons. You want to see if there's a link or an on-off switch scrolling across. Balsamiq has tons of elements you can incorporate. Icons is the next tab. This is probably the most diverse group in the elements you can choose from. It has tons of different icons that you can use. You can see some are very specific, like American Express. Others are a little bit less when it comes to just different arrows and things. They have the Apple symbol. You can scroll across to see some of the variety here. There are tons of options. You can see by the size of our scroll bar, there are tons and tons of icons that you can use in your wireframes. iOS is the next category. That's iOS specific, things that would be found on an iOS device, such as an iPad or an iPhone. You've got the Layout tab next. That's different ways to manipulate within your widget. Within your wireframe. Note these are not interactive. They're just to show where an element like this would be within the final idea. Markups allow you to do some collaboration, maybe some edits. That way you can track changes instead of just deleting and reinserting things. Media shows you some of the different media options for things you could put in your wireframe. You've got images, cover flow, maybe a map, video, webcam, volume control. Next is symbols. That's a premium edition. And the different kinds of text you'll see here. You've got links, maybe a grid, drop-down boxes, lots of different options for what your text is going to look like based on the function you need it to serve. So to get started, we need to pick a container. The containers we have to choose from, let's make just a regular rectangle that could be in a web page, an application, or on a mobile device. So I'm going to start with a web frame, with a rectangle. To do that, you just click the rectangle and drag it into your center canvas. And you see we have the shape here ready to go. Next, I want some media. So I would click into the media category, decide which kind of media I would like. Maybe I want it to be an application like YouTube. So I'm going to drag and drop the video player into my rectangle and adjust it for where I'd like it. Maybe I want it over to the left-hand side so that I can put some more information on the right. Now, maybe I need some kind of text. So I'm going to come up here. I want a paragraph of text explaining what's going on in this video. So I click text. I see the block of text. You can also double click, and that will add it to your wireframe. Notice it doesn't ask you for any actual content. This is just the wireframe. It's just the blueprint. I can resize it for where I want that text to be. Maybe it's a story that goes along with this video, and I can arrange it that way. To come up with any other things, maybe I'll look through the common category and kind of scroll through to see what I think would be most helpful. Maybe I need a scroll bar to help me navigate this text if this text is too large to fit. So I grabbed the wrong shape there, just moved it back, and grabbed the correct shape to adjust the size of my scroll. And there you have it. We've made a very basic wireframe. We've clicked and dragged the shapes that we need, the symbols that we need, ready to go there. You'll notice in the top right, if we wanted to share this, there's a blue button labeled Share. To get collaboration, to get feedback, it's very similar to a Google Doc. You hit Share. You can change the level of access to view and comment or edit and include people via email or allowing public reviews with the link here. All in all, Balsamiq provides opportunities for basic wireframing and, as you see here, some basic sharing and collaborative tools. I hope this helps get you started on your next wireframing project with Balsamiq.